Hello everyone, this is my review of the Superior Pump 1/4 horsepower submersible utility pump. So before I get into my review, I'll highlight the problems that I'm facing. I live in an area in which I experience a lot of heavy rainfall, especially during the rainy season, and that results in a lot of water accumulating in my backyard because there is sloping land from the front of the property to the back of it, and that results every time there's a lot of rainfall in a lot of standing water being deposited in my yard. And since the soil here in the area in which I live is mostly clay soil, the water takes a very long time to drain out, and we experience a lot of problems with flies and mosquitoes now proliferating in the water that's standing as a result of it. So I need a pump that deals with this, something that removes the water out in a timely manner so that we could have a peace of mind and comfort at home. Now, as you know by now, I keep chickens in my backyard, and one of the major problems that I've been having is that when rain falls, there's a lot of water that accumulates in the backyard, and that water comes into the area of the run that we have the birds in, and it wets the feces that they deposit in this area, and it creates a really bad smell. So I want to keep things hygienic for them and comfortable for them, and also sanitary for us as well too, to minimize discomfort for us. So that's the need for me. That's one of the needs that I have for this pump in the yard. Now that brings me to this pump here. This is the Superior Pump 1/4 horsepower utility pump. It's a pump that has a thermoplastic body, and I saw this receive a lot of good reviews on Amazon, which led me to buy it. So I purchased it. I brought it in through the third-party shipping companies, as we usually do in the Caribbean, and I started to use this in my backyard to mitigate all of the standing water that's accumulating in the yard when we have heavy rainfall. So before we set the pump down into the drain that we dug for it to accumulate the water here, I just put a simple piece of hardware cloth to act like a strainer to keep a lot of leaves and debris from coming in around the pump. Now yes, you're seeing all of this here, but this was what was already floating in the yard that just got washed in as the rains came. But the majority of it would be stopped, or at least held back, by this screen here, and that would hopefully keep the area in and around the pump free of debris as it removes the water. Now when I first started to use this pump, we used this with a 3/4 inch garden hose to pump this water out, and there's an attachment that's on the pump that screws into this area here where you see the PVC collar that gives a direct hookup to this garden hose. And what happens is that I found this to be very restrictive. We would have a lot of standing water here in the yard, and it took hours to pump this water out. So the major thing with these pumps is don't choke the pumps out at all. Find a way to attach the largest diameter pipe to the pump so that you will have the maximum delivery of water by the pump away from where the flooded area is. Now if you go to the website for these pumps, there is actually a performance curve for the pump that exists, and it basically gives you an idea of the delivery rate of the pump at various heights at which you're pumping it up to, which is the head height, right? Now this piece of pipe that I have here on it is not more than 20 inches, and I wouldn't really recommend that you go above 3 feet, which is about 36 inches, as the maximum delivery height for this pump. And the reason why I say that is because you want to keep the head height low as possible so that you could have the maximum delivery rate of the pump. Now for me, I just did something a little bit different in that when I put this piece of hardline on the pump, I put this collar here, none of these PVC joints are glued together. So I could easily dismantle it if I need to, but I also decided to go with this configuration. So I'm pumping up here, but I'm relying on gravity to do the work for me to deliver this all the way out of the yard as the pump is doing its work. So we're going to plug the pump in, and in the next few seconds you're going to get some uncut audio of the actual sound levels of the pump in operation. So this is a makeshift piece of piping that I'm using to try to drain out the backyard here. This is 1.25" going into 2". But as you see, the diameters don't match, but this is on a gradient. Here's higher and here's lower, but we still get a little bit of backflush of water. So I just wrapped a simple garbage bag around it and tied this with a couple pieces of wire. You could do the same. You could just replace the wire with zip ties if you have any. You know, this is not something to be a permanent fix. This is just something to get you out of a bind, out of a bad situation. Now obviously when you're using this pump and you don't have that automatic float switch attached to it, you will have to continuously monitor it, because I don't think it's really a safe thing to leave these pumps in operation unattended. You know, always be around or in the vicinity of the area when you're using this pump, because it doesn't make too much of a noise when it's operating, but always keep an eye on it. But one thing though is that when it pumps down to its minimum level, it does make a lot of noise. And I guess that could be a telltale sign to know that you have reached the minimum depth of water that the pump could actually remove. You know, but the major thing here is, or the takeaway here is, don't leave these pumps unattended whilst you're using them. So I found that the pump removed quite a lot of water. This is about 1 inch of rainfall in the yard here, and you have an idea of the flow rate. So in the following clips, I want to give you an idea of what the flow discharge rates are. So here you see roughly 4 to 5 inches of water in the drain. The pump is discharging it out through 1.25" line, but the exit pipe is 2 inches in diameter. And here we are approaching the minimum discharge depth of the pump and an idea of the flow rate at that minimum discharge depth. So I would definitely recommend this pump for if you live in a flood prone area, if your yard floods out a lot, if you have a flooded garage or basement, or some other part of your house that needs to have the water pumped out of there pretty quickly. The pump is of a really sturdy construction, and I've been really satisfied with its ability to remove water that's been accumulating as a result of flooding. So this ends my review of the Superior Pump 1/4 horsepower thermoplastic utility pump. I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope that you found this really helpful.